Assalamu alaikum, grade 2. How are you? I hope you are happy and safe. In the last week, you have learned about land habitats. Today, we are going to learn more about water habitats. The objective of our lesson today is to plan and carry out investigations to make observations of plants and animals to compare the diversity of life in water habitats. Let's start with page number 91. Look at this photo. What do you see in this photo, grade 2? It looks like a pond. Excellent, grade 2. It's a pond. Many living things can live in water. But what do you think, grade 2? What kinds of things do these animals need to live? You have many choices here. Food, air, noise, shelter, the right temperature, sunlight, a place to raise young, or people. What do you think, grade 2? Which of these things do animals live in water need to live and survive? Circle the things they need to live and explain your thinking in this space. If you finish, here you can check your answers. Yes, these animals need food, as all animals on the earth. And they need earth. They need to breathe. And they need shelter. Many animals need shelter. And of course, they need the right temperature. Some animals need high temperature to live. Other animals need mild temperature. And other animals may need cold temperature. And of course, they need sunlight and a place to raise young. Now let's watch this video, grade 2. Observe this animal. It's called beaver. What do you think, grade 2? What do this beaver do in its habitat? It's live in water. How is this? Do you have any question about this, grade 2? Can some animals live on the land and in the water? We will investigate this question throughout the lesson. So please, grade 2, be sure to write this question on your book, page number 93. One of the most important water habitat is coral reef. There are a lot of coral reefs in different oceans. A coral reef has many colorful plants and animals, like this fish. Let's investigate living things in a coral reef through this simulation. The purpose of this activity is to observe living things in a coral reef habitat. But before we begin, let's make a prediction. What kind of living things will you find in a coral reef? This is a coral reef, grade 2. So what do you think? What kind of living things will you find in a coral reef? Think about it and write your own answer in this space. Let's see the simulation. Coral reefs are home to many living things. Amazing! Take a close look to a coral reef and deeper water nearby. Let's begin. We need part 1 for this simulation, grade 2. This is the coral reef in an ocean. This is the ocean and this is the coral reef habitat. Let's see what kinds of animals can live in this habitat. Let's try this one. What's this? It's seagrass. And here you can learn more about seagrass. You can click this one.
Coral reef dweller. Seagrasses provide food and shelter to many animals.
So good. Seagrasses provide food and shelter to many animals, like plants in land habitats, right? So interesting. Let's see another one. And here you can see the number of living things in this habitat. There are 60 plants of seagrasses in this coral reef. So interesting. Let's pick another one. Now, what about this one? You know this one? It's sea star. Sea stars move by using hundreds of suction tubes on their bodies. So interesting. There are 40 sea stars in this coral reef. So interesting. Let's pick another one. What about this one? What is this? It's so tiny. Listen.
Coral reef dweller. Zooxanthellae are tiny algae that live inside coral and give them their color.
Really interesting. Observe the number here, 100,000. There are a lot of zooxanthellae in this coral reef. So interesting. Let's try another one. These three living things live in this coral reef. Let's see what kinds of animals that live in open water in the ocean. This is tuna. Just visiting. So tuna didn't live in this coral reef. It's live in the ocean in open water. Schools of tuna may visit the reef to give birth to their young. So interesting. So they didn't live in the coral reef, but they visit the reef to give birth to their young. So interesting. Since they didn't live on the coral reef, so there is no number here for how many schools of tuna in the coral reef. They didn't live in the coral reef. Let's pick another one. What about this fish now? Fish. Many coral reef fish have a flat shape and nearly all are brightly colored. So interesting. So these fish live in the coral reef. There are 100 fish live in this coral reef. So interesting. What about this crab? This crab uses its pincers to catch and eat their prey. So interesting. So it's live in the coral reef. There are 30 crabs in this coral reef. So interesting. Let's pick another one. What about this one? Sea snakes. Look, sea snakes. Sea snakes are reptiles that live in water. There are about 12 sea snakes in this coral reef. Let's see another one. What about this one? You're so tiny. Coral polyps are tiny animals that live in groups. So interesting. Let's see another one. We still have two kinds of animals. A shark. This shark live in open water. They spend almost all of their time hunting prey in open waters, not in the coral reef. Very big. Let's see another one, the last one. It's an octopus. Here it is. An octopus can change color to blend in with its surroundings. So interesting. It's so smart. So this octopus didn't live in this coral reef, but it visited this coral reef. You will find this link in the description in grade 2. So please try it by yourself, have fun, enjoy it, and when you finish, write at least 5 of living things you see in the simulation. And then write if it's live in coral reef or open water. You know now that octopus, sharks, and tuna live in open water. So write at least 5 of living things you see in the coral reef or in open water in the simulation. And then write about how many. When you finish, you can check your answers here. You don't have to write all these living things. Write 5 and that's enough. The name of living things, where does it live, and about how many. If you finish, try to solve these questions by yourself. Page number 96. Question number 6. Which living thing had the highest number in the last column of the table? What do you think of grade 2? Think about it and write your answer here. When you finish, you can check your answers here. Yes, there were millions of zooxanthellae in the coral reef, or about 100,000. Question number 7. Did your observations support your prediction? What do you think? Yes or no? That's enough for today, grade 2. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.